When a lot of corporate executives get a reputation, John, for being turnaround experts, is there such a thing?
I'm not so sure there's such a thing as a turnaround expert, but I can say that turnarounds in the entertainment or tech or gaming industry are pretty tough. And I think I know a thing or two about them, yeah.
Why are they tough? Why are they tougher in that industry?
Well, look, first off, just hats off to Niccolo. He executed one of the great turnarounds in gaming. When he got there, Glue was left for dead. 4 years later, he increased the business 400%. I had to deal with a similar situation in Electronic Arts, where when I arrived, things were a bit of a mess. This is back to 2007. The kind of thing I was hearing from my board was that our stock was worth, maybe 15 against the publicly trading at 50, and we had lots of problems. What was challenging then was going through this process of cutting costs massively, cutting heads massively, while also investing in digital and next gen. The idea of cutting spending, investors love that, but at the same time, the articles that were written through that process, they were telling me that you can't spend and cut. And that spend is actually the foundation of the success of the company today. Obviously, with the huge contributions of its teams like Andrew Wilson, the current CEO, Frank Chabot, et cetera. So there's a schism that goes on that's just really hard to get at. A turnaround doesn't just get there by shrinking. You've got to put the investments in for the future while cutting the things that didn't work. And
Niccolo, you also used acquisitions to acquire some games too, to sort of give yourself something to build on.
Well, I think it's all about getting the realistic time horizons of the what I call light at the end of the tunnel really growing. And for Glue, that was free-to-play, mobile, original IP. I think John made a similar bet at EA on mobile, digital, and he acquired, I've acquired. It's an important part of, I think, trying to accelerate growth if you're smart about it, but it's certainly not a panacea.
And again, that investment, I mean, free-to-play is a hard model to go to when your finances are in a troubling state.
Well, you've got to have a balance sheet strengthening moment is usually, I think, an important part of a turnaround. If, half the time companies get into trouble because they have liquidity concerns. Certainly my turnarounds in my career have had that. John, I think, was facing similar challenges when he started. So shore up the balance sheet, make sure you have enough runway through some cost cutting is usually part of the equation. Then make sure that, what I like to say is, you bet it all on the light end of the tunnel, and you set out milestones that you can beat. And beating those expectations all the way through the trough is what gives you credibility in the investor base through tough times.
When you talk about, what's particular about the entertainment business, you didn't mention technology. The technology for EA at that time was always following sort of the latest console release, but you were kind of looking beyond that into other platforms.
So look, one of the reasons I mentioned technology is EA was going through, something then, I think similar to what Zynga is going through now. It wasn't just getting ready for the next console, which we had to do when we invested in. We needed to get ready for digital technology, not just a packaged good or digital disc, if you will, at retail. We needed to get ready for the online digital businesses like mobile and free-to-play models, and that was an investment both in changing a lot of things in the way the company operated, but also changing the way we invest in new properties. Using Zynga as an example, they've had to go from social to mobile, and there is so much difference there. And it's interesting, and it's interesting to see the...
Why?
Well, what I find interesting is what I'm watching, my friend Don Matrick do right now is go through much of what I did when I was at EA. It's way too early to figure out if, that company's going to get where they want to go. But here's the truth. If you go back to a year and a half ago, people were expecting it to go out of business. I've talked to some major investors that thought that it was unfixable. There was no plan that was going to get a great 2014 out of a challenging 2013. And yet people call for his head. He needs time to make this work. I think he's an incredibly smart guy. Yeah. He's probably going to make it work. I don't know enough to be specific on that. But, public markets, turnarounds, game, technology, et cetera, they're a very hard mix. And as Niccolo said, the timing doesn't always line up with external parties' expectations.
Niccolo, do the rapid advancements in technology, the rapid growth of mobile, whatever, does that let you make the kind of changes? Are turnarounds easier in a business where change is happening faster, or are they harder because you don't know what the future is going to look like?
Well, frankly, turnarounds in our space, and I think this is what is both good and bad, are about building new businesses, right? So Glue had to build a new free-to-play mobile business. We ran off an old feature phone gaming business. Zynga's got to build a new mobile gaming business. They're running off probably their Facebook web business. So you're right, companies that last decades in the TMT space, entertainment space. The turnaround's really a series of endless transitions from platforms, business models, new ways of generating revenue, new ways of thinking about the value chain. And it changes quickly. I mean, in 6 months, you can go from hero to zero or zero to hero. If you have a strong balance sheet like Zynga does, I think it increases the chances that they're going to find new businesses that they can ultimately grow strong in.
Yeah, the illusion, though, is this, is it looks to people from the outside, you go from zero to hero in 6 months. The truth is this, you put a team together on day one, and 6 months in, often that team gels. They'll spend 6 months, a year and a half building the product. So what the 2014 that a company lives with was planted in 2012. The 2015 they live with is planted in 2013. And the mistake that analysts can make looking at this is they can look at the moment now and say, that is a consequence of what they did last quarter. Right. It didn't work that way. It never works that way. And yet still, that's the illusion that you get when you watch, sometimes the business news, when they look at, yesterday's results or today's rumor.